at the end of the day, we make decisions after a setback, a letdown, a failure, somebody being harsh to us. We make a decision right after that serves the rest of our lives. So what we have to do, and most of those decisions are things that are keeping us from excelling. So what we have to do is we have to go back to those moments in time, kind of revisit those and just change those decisions. Hey, it's Mike C-Roc here. I'm on the Ever Forward podcast. Listen to this episode. I'm going to talk to you about how to become unstoppable, to live in the life of your dreams. You're going to hear about this right here, what happened to me when I was about 11 years old with this right here. And you're also going to hear about what we're into and how we're creating unstoppable people on this planet via tech, mortgage, real estate, and also podcasting. Let's go. Just because the body's gone doesn't mean, he's gone. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you feel that way or believe in that, but like I know for a fact that spiritual energy is still around. Mm-hmm. And so like when my stepfather passed, same thing. Like I know he's still here. Like he was a big Phillies fan. And so when I'm watching baseball and things happen like they did the other day. And Bryce Harper hits a 2-run homer to go, take the lead in the 8th inning. Like
that stings, coming from DC and all that.
Well, I know that. But like I just man, it's like he's causing that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So I'm sure you in your life you can see like instances where like he's doing something. He's moving some way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's funny you bring this up. Actually, quite literally before I came here this evening, I was looking. Actually, I did a show recently with my brother. He has a show down in Houston, and I went on and we really got to talking about this stuff. As brothers do, kind of talking about the same dad scenario. And the last year have been running towards this stuff kind of head on through really unique therapies and modalities. Been undergoing ketamine-assisted psychotherapy, and through these treatments, I have gotten years of therapy closure. Been reunited with him, literally, and as real and you and I here are today, to my core, I believe that, and has catapulted me into I think that's one of the most difficult things when we go through loss. Is just where are they? What's going on? And I got that sensation, he's here. I know. Yep. We're good.
You harness the energy,
yeah.
right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, dude. I mean, there's so many different therapies. Like you said, psychotherapy, there's ayahuasca. Mm-hmm. I don't know what the best is. I just believe what I do. I mean, I'd go over here at Celebrity Center and do auditing. And to me,
auditing, what's that?
It's like a process where you sit with an auditor and they ask you questions and you run through things from your past. And
an auditor is different from a therapist? I haven't heard that term.
An auditor is just a person.
Coach, counselor?
They just ask you questions and they run through. And you're sitting on this machine and it can tell when you have emotional charge. And when they pick it up and you have that emotional charge, then they run through that scenario until there's a release. And that release is like a euphoric feeling. It's like you don't have that charge anymore. Oh, yeah, I've
been there. Yeah.
So you got, Grant Cardone. He kind of turned me on to that. And I've been going and it's just been life-changing. So,
Grant Cardone taps into the woo, we call it here a little bit. No shit. That's amazing.
He turned me on to that. And he said, he made a comment one time that 95% of his success comes from his church. And I'm like, well, what is that? So I looked into it and I read a book called Dianetics and it just took me through a loop, man. I was like, how did I not know about this before? And so I've done a lot of reading on it. And then I started going up to the Celebrity Center here in LA. And over the last 3 years of my life, man, I've achieved more in the last 3 years of my life than I had the prior 42.
Damn it.
So what you're doing, I don't know what's best. Yeah. All I know is what I do, and I don't judge anybody else on what they do and all that, but this is working for me, so same kind of thing. And then you just tap into the energy. You're harnessing your dad's energy and spirituality, or his spirit, you know what I mean? So
what's best is that we're doing something. And for years, I didn't. The backstory is I spent about 10, 12 years after he passed away not dealing with any of this stuff. Just stuffing it down, suppressing, and it took 12 years of my best efforts to keep it down, but it just came boiling out in as many ways, in the worst ways possible. Ways that, no matter my best efforts, I was getting unwell.
Yeah.
100%. Really unwell.
Absolutely. I mean, there's when this kind of thing happens, it's how you use it, right? So it's a powerful energy when you have a loss. And it's the question you have to ask, we all got to go through mourning. The question you have to ask yourself is how can I use this? for good, to be constructive with it, not destructive. Most people use it to be destructive, right? And introversion.
Or it is destructive and you don't fully realize it. You don't kind of really like connect the dots that I'm being destructive. My life is more on a destructive path because I haven't dealt with, I don't fully realize or understand my grief.
Well, did you ever read Outwitting the Devil?
No.
So Napoleon Hill wrote these notes. His family didn't want to release this book that he was kind of writing because it was during the Depression, I believe, in 1930s or something.
Yeah,
right?
all Napoleon Hill stuff.
And so Sharon Lecter got with the Napoleon Hill Foundation and ended up writing the book or putting it all together and formulating a book called Outwitting the Devil. And they talk about drifting. And the way the devil, in this book, the way the devil gets a hold of people is they drift. So when you're in that mode and you're dealing with loss, like if you're not intentional about using that energy and using that circumstance to actually harness it and move in a direction intentionally, you're drifting.
Literally adrift at sea.
Yeah, drifting at sea. Yeah. Water can be a drift, like a cause. You're just being moved in a direction by another force other than your self-determinism. And so being intentional keeps you out of evil, out of destruction, and into something that can build and success. And so same thing with that, or just with anything really in life. So most people on this planet are drifting. And especially right now when we're going into where we're going in the economy, like there's going to be a lot of people hurting worse than they are even now because they're drifting.
Yeah.
And so I read that book. I've been meaning to read that book. And I just started, when I run on the boardwalk in Ocean City, I listened to it and it just blew me away. I'm like, holy cow, man. And then I started assessing myself too. I'm like, am I drifting in areas? I feel like I'm pretty good and I'm on track, right? But I started thinking, nah, there's some spots where I need to focus.
Do you think, it's like, I got so many things running through my head right now, but the concept of drifting, I think, is so spot on because it kind of reminds me of something I talk a lot about here, or I have in the past on the show, and that's myself included. I have been sleepwalking in many areas of my life. And I feel like I probably am now still until I wake up and realize, I haven't taken back my power, or I'm still acting and doing out of other belief systems or holding on to things that I don't fully comprehend. And I want to take my life back.
Right.
So it's kind of like sleepwalking, but I think if we just start there with, I'm aware that I'm drifting, and sitting with that instead of trying to scramble and always go. I mean, quite literally the definition here, move forward in life. Like sometimes that could also be a detriment too, because we're drifting and just trying to just swim aimlessly or maneuver aimlessly. That's not really serving us, right? We got to really grab hold and be aware of, oh shit, like where am I?
Well, no, I don't know, man. I'll challenge you on that. I have a saying, thrust is a must. So it kind of relates to that, right? Like Winston Churchill said, when you're going through hell, keep going. And that's cool and all, but I'm not okay with that. Like, I don't want to be walking through hell. I want to be thrusting through hell. Like, get the hell out of there, right?
Yeah. Go right through the beast.
Like, to me, I think if you have a target and a goal and a mission in life and a dream, to me, like, thrust forward to it, dude. And enjoy the ride. Like, I don't know, man. Because I think that when you sit still, that's when evil can creep in around you. That's when complacency can creep in around you.
Right, yeah.
So I'm not the type that says, like, stop and smell the roses. I'll celebrate while I'm still moving. That's just me. Now, I'm not saying that's right.
I hear you.
Like, I don't want to. My kryptonite is sitting still, comfortability, complacency. I'm just not that type, bro. I'm just not that type.
But can we not sit still and not be complacent?
Possibly,
there's power in stillness,
but
right?
It can catch you. That's the thing. Like at that moment, it can't catch me if I'm thrusting. Like it sounds like. By the way, I got to tell you a story. So when I came up with this, I had this book Rocket Fuel.
Yeah.
And when I wrote the book, I'm like, I got to think of some kind of saying, and I started thinking about the things I say all the time. And thrust is a must. And my partners were like, dude, no, I don't like that. It's gonna have sexual connotation, and I'm like, yeah, good, because that'll get attention, right? So then I started.
If it gets the views, right? If it gets people into the main message, maybe. Yeah.
I'm in Clubhouse, and I have one of the little, what are they called? GIFs? I don't know.
Yeah, the GIFs. Yeah.
And you can do that on Clubhouse now. You can make your profile picture, and I have a thrust as a must one. And so now I have my rooms, and all the people that come in my rooms regularly will put that on there. The ladies love it though. Like I'm not trying to do it that way, but they do. So it gets attention. That's my point.
Getting attention and then bringing them in to like really drive home the message. I mean,
exactly, man.
Not a bad idea.
They ain't gonna forget it. So anyway, but yeah, I don't like sitting still. I'm sure there's times where you can slow down a little bit, maybe. But dude, listen, man. My thing is, I'm 45 years old. and I just woke up, right? And I feel like my window is closing because my stepfather, like you talking about your father, like my stepfather who became like my dad, passed away at like 62 years old of a heart attack suddenly, right? So when he did, I was like, you know what, dude, I got to take over the helm now. And it's my turn, and I got to move fast because I don't know what my window is going to be. I'm taking care of myself, but you never know. So that window's shrinking, and then so that means just I got to move faster to accomplish the mission that I'm on.
You're how old again?
45.
And he passed away at how old?
62.
62.
Yeah.
So you still got a good window between where you are now, where you've kind of woken up.
Yeah.
I feel like you kind of just woke up to this window of, I'm sure that's going to be a really unique sensation of this man that meant so much in your life that passed away at that age. And I'm kind of getting, my window's a little bit closer right now. I'm 37. My father passed away at 43.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I've got 6 years. And in 6 years, I mean, I've been here.
Well, that's but
so
is that disease genetic?
No.
Okay.
No, I mean, like when I turn 43 in a day, I will have outlived my father.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
That is a really wild
Yeah,
concept. To realize that I've outlived someone that has had such a significant
100%.
influence in my life. I mean, the whole reason we're here today. Are you saying like between now and 65, or excuse me, 62?
Yeah, 62.
62, like that's the race you're on, that's the sprint?
No, dude, I don't know when it's going to happen. Like, I don't know when we're going to be plucked from this planet. But my thing is as long as I'm here until I'm plucked from this planet, I'm an unstoppable being. Some of the things that I've, in my work on myself, I've realized that I'm 5'6" and 3/4, right? I'm a little short dude, right? But my being, dude, I can fill up Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Like I feel that. Like it's just huge. And I'm not trying to like, I'm not trying to come off like that as far as like, it's not better than anybody. It's just I'm big. Like I have this big thing. And so I want to accomplish creating unstoppable people on this planet. And everybody I'm around, I want to elevate. Like I want them to, when I'm done, I want them to like just be lit up that they can't stop thinking about the experience. Not because of me, but like about themselves now. Like they can run through a wall.
What's possible?
Yeah. So when I decided to do this, by the way, I was in the mortgage business for about 20 years, real estate. And I woke up one day and I'm like, I got a mission inside of me. And like, I don't know where this is coming from. Something's coming. I got to get the word out. So I messaged a buddy of mine who was a speaker. He used to hold seminars, and his name's Steve. And I said, hey, man, I got this itch to speak, and I got to get my message out. Like, I don't know where to go. Like, what, I was thinking he was letting me be mentored by him. And he just sent me this thing back. It just said, grow your following. And that's all he did. He didn't say, hey, I'll help you out. Give me a call. He just said, grow your following. And I'm like, okay. So I just focused on growing my following. So I'm in this little town, Ocean City, Maryland.
Yeah.
And I'm focused on getting real estate agents in that area to work with us in the mortgage business and all this. And then I was thinking like, I'm thinking I'm aiming too small here because I'd have a seminar and one agent would show up, 5 agents would show up, 15, then 50 sometimes, then 2. And I'm like, I'm working too hard to try to pull these people in here. I need to aim bigger. And so when he said grow your following, it just woke me up and I'm like, I want to get known, not just in this area, but like mid-Atlantic region. Then I said, well, if I'm going to go that big, I might as well go for the whole country. And then I'm like, well, I think there might be ways to get known globally. And then the alien stories come out with Congress and all that. And I'm like, well, shit, if there's aliens, I don't know if I'm supposed to cuss on.
No, you're good.
But if there's aliens, I might as well get known by the aliens, man. Let's go. and then, but like most people, like when
They might need a mortgage too,
No, but when I told my friends this stuff, and my business partners are like laughing, like not like you did, but like being like, you like really, like why would you want to do that? Like, aren't you just happy where you are? I'm like, hell no. If I can do it, like why? Let's go. And so most people listen to the people around them when they do that. I didn't. I'm stubborn. Like I have this thing, man. I call it inexorable. That word means unyielding and unable to be stopped. And every morning when I wake up, if it's a rough morning, I'm not feeling like dealing with this stuff like the mortgage business with rates right now. I'm just like, keep going. You're inexorable. And I keep telling myself this, and I start to believe it. And then I come around people, and then they start feeling this way too, because I make sure that they feel this way when I'm around them. So I don't listen to my friends. I just take that reverse energy. I mean, that energy, I reverse it, basically turn it into rocket fuel, and I become unstoppable. And so I don't know what this thing is that I have like inside of me, this energy, and I'm not going to try to like question it, even though everybody around me always does.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
I feel you. I literally feel you. So much of that is true in me as well. It's just, I think back years in my life of like, this has been here all along, a gut feeling and intuition, just this kind of knowing that I am capable of more and I should do more. I want to do more, not again for the sake of self, but just because I believe so much more is possible for everybody.
So what's your vision though? Like what's the mission? Like what do you have your sights set on?
For the longest time, it was just like we were talking earlier, it was just getting through the loss of my father.
Yeah.
And, and that took me 17, 18 years. And so like right now on the last,
Wait a minute. Was that long ago? Yeah.
He passed away in 2005. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't,
It's coming
you
up
said
on
that,
18
I didn't
years.
think about like, we're in 2022.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
It's been a minute. And, I spent so much of my life and my mission years was, I'm going to work through this. I'm going to get better. I'm going to be able to talk about him and not have a panic attack. And just in the last year or so, pushing 2 years, that has happened. And I've woken up in so many different ways. Honestly, man, it's hard to kind of say what the real mission is now because I feel like I'm just waking up and I'm at a whole new baseline, but a baseline of realizing the most abundant potential.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, shit, after 35 years, now 37 years,
yeah.
What do I want? Because I spent so long just trying to avoid the past and heal from the past. Now I'm like, what does the future look like? What do I want it to look like? Because at 35, it's totally different than at 19 when your father passes away and like you don't know what the future holds. So now I'm just like, all right, I've got a life. I've built a life. I'm healed in many ways and healing even more. So like, what can the future look like?
Yeah, because that's different because I was 40, 2019, 3 years ago. Yeah, I was 42. So I was at a different point in my life than you were. Did you ever have that? I mean, I'm interviewing you now, man.
No, go, bring it on. Yeah, this is a conversation.
But did you ever have this feeling like I got to pick up the torch now?
Oh, absolutely.
It's my turn. Let's go.
Your father passes away also, like when you're the oldest of three, like I am. I mean, so much of that. And I had just left. I was in the Army for about a year at this point, like a year and a half. And so I've got this like young man that just left the home, flew the coop kind of, experience. I'm the oldest brother of three. I got a sister and a brother. My father passed away. He was the glue of the family, glue of the community. And now I'm also literally learning how to be a leader and, serve in the military. So I've got all these different archetypes and belief systems and things. Just what do I hold on to? What do I lean into? It was definitely so much so that actually, not to kind of go so far into the backstory, but like so much so that like I felt financially obligated to provide for my family. And like realizing like I served in 03 to 09 and height of OIF, OEF. And during that time, they upped our life insurance policy from like 200 to 400K. And I literally thought, okay, cool. If I die during my military service, that's a good thing because my family will be provided for.
What was going on then? Was there?
Oh, we had just like found Saddam in the hole.
Okay.
We were still bombing Iraq. We were going into Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Where
did you go?
I started in Texas. I did some stuff in Germany and Czech Republic. I actually, oddly enough, was a Russian linguist in the military. I worked military intelligence. And tried to laterally move to apply my intelligence skills into theater in Afghanistan through a couple operations.
Gotcha.
And it wasn't in the cards for me, which has ultimately led me to what I'm doing here now. Like quite literally, I got injured in a war game training and got medically discharged. So it wasn't in the cards for me, but like so much so that I was like, this is what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
I'm already serving during a time of war. I'm supposed to die. I'm supposed to like do this stuff because then that's my job, but also my family squared away.
Yeah.
Like that, when my father passed away, that's how much I took on and chose to take on that burden.
By the way, when you come on my show, you can interview me.
We'll do it.
Man. It's like, I think that when you come on shows, it's a lot of times like it's supposed to be like an interview, like one way, but like I like this
conversation.
Yeah,
I mean,
I like that.
I try to just drive home the humanization and story of everything.
Yeah.
But to kind of, I wanted to talk about something specifically we said in the beginning, but we've really just started with a backstory. So let's just keep rolling there. You brought so much knowledge to the show already and just awareness to things that we talk about. But I know there's another part of your story that I think is probably the biggest catalyst. And I'm never one to I'm not trying to like trigger anything, but you have talked about this. Yeah. And so you guys got to watch the video for this point. So I brought this.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not going to ball it up and throw it at you, but for the listeners, for the viewers, when you see this $100 bill tossed your way, take us back to the first time that happened, that like you made the choice.
Yeah, and by the way, I've done
take
work.
Your power.
I've done work. I don't get triggered. Like I just don't.
And I've heard you talk about it, and that's the only reason I brought it up.
No. And I appreciate you like opening, I guess like prefacing it with that. But dude, I've done so much work on myself that one, I don't take anything personal from anything that happens in my life anymore. I have unconditional love for every single person, no matter what they do. I don't have to like what they do. Not this isn't bad. This is nothing. But I don't have to like what my father did.
That's not for you, by the way.
No, if you put that out, you got to throw it at me. I'll take it. No, and my stepmother was very abusive, and I don't have to like what she did. But no matter what, I have unconditional love for people because I know why they do the things they do.
Yeah.
I've studied this stuff and understand that there's, things that happen to people that they could get conditioned into doing things and they don't realize they're doing it. So, so you want to hear the story. So basically,
so guys, again, like you're not watching the video here, like there's $100 bill on the table. And I know that this is one of the most defining moments in your story. At least it was for me when I heard it.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up, I don't remember my parents ever together. And so for those of you listening that have had divorce, you deal with child support battles, custody battles, step parents entering into the mix. Does everybody get along? Do they sometimes? Don't they? Sometimes they have fights. And as kids, it all pours down on you, right? So, when I was about 8 years old, my mom was moving on to her third marriage. And I was just like, I don't want to move into another man's house and learn another man's rules. And for some reason, at a young age, I was pretty mature to take risks and be self-determined. I don't know why or where that came from, but I told my mom, I said, I think I want to move into my dad's house. And he was moving on to his second marriage. And my dad took me to dinner and kind of wined and dined me, not really wine, but like sold me on moving in with him.
Get you all hopped up on grape juice and sugar.
And raviolis. It was at Mrs. Rubino's in Wilmington. And he didn't want to pay child support probably. They had issues there and all that. So anyway, I moved to his house. And it was started off great, but I was there for about 3-4 years. But like very quickly, man, I noticed that there was conflict with my mom. My stepmom didn't get along. She would talk about my mom in front of me all the time. My dad and her would fight. She didn't get along with my dad's side of the family. And it just always rolled down on us kids, we
usually
witnessed it all. And so with that conflict going on, I always thought it was normal. I just didn't know any better. Like I thought this is what you go through.
That's how you were brought up. Yeah.
And I would notice other families when I would go visit my friends and they'd have loving families. And I'm like, shit, I want that. So I started to pay attention to that. Now, my dad would always do this thing where he would always go like, give me thumbs up and wink at me behind her back because like, just ride it out kind of thing. And I was like, I've had enough, man. I'm not doing that shit anymore. So
like, he's like, hey, I'm recognizing that you're probably not on board with what's happening, but just
dude, we're all going through this. Like, we got to deal with this shit, man. Just like, so I went to my mom's house on every other weekend. And one time I went to my mom and I told her what was happening. And she's like, well, that's unacceptable. Like, you shouldn't be going through that. What are you doing? Like, and I would get sick to my stomach anytime I left my mom's house for the weekend and go back to that environment.
Basically being coerced to just endure.
Yeah, but I felt like sick to my stomach when I would go back. And then, so when I went back, I told my mom what happened and she filed court papers. She said, I'm going to file court papers to get you back living with me. But you need to do one thing. You need to understand that they're going to try to talk you out of it when they get these papers. And you need to stick to your guns. If you really believe in this, you can't be flip-flopping. You need to stick to your guns. And in life, you're going to need to stick to your guns. When you believe in something, people are always going to be trying to talk you out of things. And so maybe some of that stubbornness comes from that, hearing that story from my mom or that advice from her.
Do you think at that time that advice from your mom was her having your best interest at heart, or was it the other parent trying to play the other side of the coin?
No, she was
coerce you back to you.
No, it was definitely like, you need to get out of that situation, and because she wouldn't have let me leave in the first place, the first time. So I went home after that, and I was waiting, and finally the court papers were served to my dad, right? And I come home from school one day, and I could feel the thickness in the air in the house. I just knew something was up, and I remember him saying, holding these papers when I came in, and he said, "Hey, go to your room." So I sat in my room and waited for him to come back. It was probably 5 minutes, but it felt like forever. And he comes back and says, "Hey, it says here you want to move back with your mom. What I don't understand is that you have everything you need here. I don't understand. Like, what's going on? Like, she's on to her third marriage. She doesn't have any money. Like, you got everything you need here. And by the way, my mom didn't have any money. She married George, who passed away. We talked about earlier, but George was a great guy, but they just weren't good with money, right? But it was a loving household. And we used to take vacations to Wildwood, New Jersey. And thank God we had vacations. We would stay at the heart of Wildwood, which is a little motel, 2 double beds in a room. And we'd take hefty trash bags as our suitcases. It was kind of embarrassing in a way. Yeah. But again, at least we had a vacation, because I know some people are worse off. But at the time, we didn't know any better. And we would take 2 friends with us. And so we had 4 kids, 2 friends that would come along with us, my parents, and a little hotel room with 2 double beds.
Y'all are cozy.
Dude, you know what I mean? So that's what he was referring to. Like she didn't have 2 nickels rubbed together really. But, and he said, I just don't understand why you'd want to, leave here. And I said, I don't want to discuss it. Because I knew if I got in discussion with him, he was going to try to sell me on it. So I said, no, I'm not discussing it. And then he says, okay. So then my dad, by the way, used to carry a wad of $100 bills around. He was my hero. He had a masonry business, worked hard. If you shook his hands, you could feel like the roughness of his hands, it always cracked and stuff.
Earned every day, yeah.
Big forearms. And, I always looked up to him for how hard a worker he was. And he used to flash money to us all the time and show us $100 bills, the old ones with the little guy on it, the little Ben Franklin on them. And so when I said I didn't want to talk about it, he took that wad of $100 bills out and peeled one off and crumpled it up and threw it at me and said, you're going to need this then when you're living on the streets with your mother one day, right? And so that doesn't bother me anymore now, by the way. Like it did for years, because I wanted to, it bothered me in the fact that I used it, right? I used it because I'm like, I'm never going to let him win. I don't need that money. Like, I'll show him, So shortly thereafter, like probably for 30 some years, I was living off of that. Like that $100 bill made me millions because I was using it, right? And so I developed this rocket fuel law, which I wrote about in the book, Rocket Fuel, Convert Setbacks, Become Unstoppable, which is that if you have a mission in life, you take everything that comes your way that would stop or slow you down, and instead of storing it in your trunk where most people keep their stuff, like when we have loss, you're talking about, you're trying to deal with this stuff, you're storing a bunch of stuff in your trunk, dude.
Oh, yeah.
And it was weighing you down. It was slowing you down.
Literally.
And it could have stopped you, but it didn't. And that's what happens in trunks. If you see a hoopty back in the day, like they had these hoopties and people, I don't know what the hell they had in the trunk, right? They had something in the trunk and it was weighing it down. And it would ride on the tires and slow it down. So I think I'd use a lot of imagery in my life. And so instead of that, I stored it in my tank, my fuel tank, and converted it into rocket fuel. And I just go faster and faster and become unstoppable. So I started using this with everything in life. So if I want something, I get it, because if anything comes my way, it's like, great, I need that. I need that fuel, right? So that story stemmed the rocket fuel law, which is a law. And then I started to realize as I went through personal development that toxicity from that, using toxicity, only takes you so far. And there's a point where eventually you need a higher octane fuel because your engine's refined.
Oh, I like that.
Because you developed yourself now. You need I needed to take
you level up. You're at a new baseline.
Right?
New baseline.
Yeah. So the higher octane fuel is setting big goals and dreams, getting known globally by aliens, like for a mission that's creating unstoppable people, man. And so that rocket fuel 2.0 is higher octane fuel is setting these big dreams and goals. Now, I do a lot of things, Chase, but everything's filtered through that mission of unstoppable people. So whether it's the tech companies, the mortgage companies, writing books, podcasting, whatever it is, as long as it serves the mission that all people are unstoppable to live in a life of their dreams, I'm down with it. If it's not, I get rid of it. And it makes my life real easy because it's a binary decision either towards or away. And there's no chaos.
Hearing you share your story, and thank you again, it's like same, but different. I hear you talk about something that happened in your life that was, I'm assuming, painful, not ideal to go through, especially at such a young age, and I'm sure caused you work on yourself personally, emotionally, for X amount of period of time. I also had that, like we've talked about, but mine was like a loss that caused pain, whereas yours was pain, just like literally your dad throwing. I mean, that's pain. No kid wants to go through that. So, and then I think about so many other people we've had on the show, and just like when I think of people that most people probably think of high achiever, successful, like there's usually some kind of root cause like that.
Yeah.
Can we only tap into our most limitless, utmost potential from a source of pain? Like, what if
It's powerful.
It is.
It's like a high octane. It is high octane, actually. It's even toxic,
and it's pain in different forms. It's pain from loss, pain from death, pain from injury, pain from bankruptcy, pain from breakups, pain from, broken home, all these different things. But really the common denominator here is pain. Why do you think some of us can use that pain to our advantage and some of us stay stuck in it?
Because we decide to.
It's a choice.
Absolutely. So first of all, everything in life is a choice. Everything is a decision. It's that simple. It's that simple. But human beings want complicated for some reason. So when we try to help people, if I coach people or advise people from, doing social media, whatever, a lot of people don't want the simple answer because that means they have to do it.
Oh, yeah.
They'll get results, but they have to do it, right? So they'd rather have complicated, so they still don't have to do it because it's too complicated.
So true.
Right?
Yeah.
So by the way, the $100 bill thing, that wasn't the biggest deal. Like, look, again, I don't take things personal and I don't hold anything against anybody from the past. So let me clarify that right now. But
really,
after the fact, yeah, dude, why? Right?
Like that's a choice you can just make, or like, did you work through that in some way?
Shit, make a decision. It's that simple. And then everything that you do after that decision serves that decision. So like my stepmother after the fact would rub things in my face. They would go on vacations and I would get pictures of their vacations. Like it stemmed on. It was the evil stuff, right? So I would be getting that stuff as a kid and I just, why is she doing that? Like I've always asked the question, like, why is she doing that? I don't understand. Like, just leave it alone.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we make decisions after a setback, a letdown, a failure, somebody being harsh to us. We make a decision right after that serves the rest of our lives. So what we have to do, and most of those decisions are things that are keeping us from excelling. So what we have to do is we have to go back to those moments in time, kind of revisit those and just change those decisions. And when you change those decisions, like, no, I don't hold anything against them. Matter of fact, I had a dream last night. I'm at a restaurant. This is crazy because I didn't really dream that much anymore. But I had a dream last night. I was at a restaurant and it was packed. And I come out of the restaurant and we're waiting for a table. And my dad and his wife and family, my brothers and sisters are there. And my dad was kind of awkward, like, should I shake his hand or not? Because he saw me. And then he was like, not sure. And I went and just leaned into it. And I was like, what's up, man? Like, it was no big deal. Like, the past is the past, bro. Yeah. So and then we end up having dinner together, and that was just, but I don't see my dad anymore in real life. So I had a dream last night about that. And the fact is you make a decision in your life to clear things up, to move it out of your way because otherwise it's in your way, And so let other people worry about that shit. Like if they have a problem with it, that's something they got to figure out.
And it's so true. I mean, because I think ultimately what we're all after through the pain is like we want what we want. Whatever that looks like, I want, maybe your parents are getting back together, but I want quality time with each of them. I want meaningful relationships in my life. I want, whatever the thing is, but yet we let the pain and the lack of choice, really the indecision sometimes keep us from getting what we want. Yeah. And we can have what we want by simply just making a choice. Because to your point, every action after that is going to serve that choice, which is putting us on the path to getting what we really want.
Are you old enough to remember 8-track tapes?
I know. Yeah, I know.
Or you know of them? Or VHS, right?
You
VCR.
I had cassettes. I had VHS.
I'm an imagery guy, right? Like, so I'm thinking to myself, in my life, I can put whatever VHS tape I want to and live it anytime I want. My reality, I can insert any reality into my life that I want. And so can you. So can everybody that decides to. And more importantly, we can change our mind and change it anytime we want to too. So let's say I want to be, I want to be a speaker. And I go around being a speaker and then I realize, I don't like being a speaker. It's not that it's hard and I'm failing at it. I'm not saying that part because I think you should keep going if you want it, right? But if you say, this isn't for me, I don't really like being on stage. It's just not me. You have permission to take that, eject, pull it out, go get another one, put another one in. People don't realize that they have that control.
Why do you think that is?
Or for the youngsters that are listening, YouTube videos. You can just change the YouTube video. You can put whatever YouTube video you want.
You can change your handle. You can choose a different screen.
You can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
We can. And people just need to realize that they have the power to do that. Matter of fact, they're doing it anyway. They're just unintentionally drifting.
There you go.
Doing it, and they're not being self-determined, and they're letting somebody else determine their lives. So
what do you do when we made a choice, right? We made a choice that we're just going to take action. Maybe thus far, we haven't made any choices. We've been living in indecision and drifting. So there's a lot of power to having that. I made a choice. I'm going to take action. I'm going to do something. But the surrounding people and environment and circumstances don't support that. How do you walk through that?
So first of all, when I make a decision, right? I make a decision. Let's say, I want to be an influencer, speaker, whatever, right? Well, I start thinking that. My thoughts go towards that. I make sure all my thoughts are going towards it. I make sure all my words are going towards it. I make sure all my actions are going towards it. And then most importantly, I make sure my environment's going towards it. So then I assess on a daily basis. How's my actions? How's my attitude? How's my words? How's my thoughts? Are they going towards it? And I do it daily because I want to be able to change it quickly. I don't want to wait till the end of the week, a month, or never do it at all, right? And so the environment...
Because if you're building new habits, like it takes that daily kind of accountability to get you there.
Yeah, and then the environment part is the people, right? So the people in my environment, I tell them what I'm doing. If they have a problem with it, we talk about it. And I let them know if I'm committed to that mission, they're going to go with me and support me, or they're not going to have a lot of my time. Family's important. Don't get me wrong, I'm Italian, right? Family's important. However, a family that steals from you is not important. And that's what people are doing when they don't support your mission. They don't support your dreams. They're stealing your dreams from you. They're stealing your life from you. And you have to put your foot down and not let that happen. And if they love you, they care, they're gonna support you no matter what you do. Otherwise, it's something that they have to personally deal with inside, and you got to let them go do that and deal with that shit. And then they can come back to you when they're ready. And you go on your mission. And what happens a lot of times is people won't necessarily agree with what you're doing maybe, or want to support you, but they're really just reflecting on their own thing that they gave up on. And then when that happens, they start to see you achieve it. When they start to see you achieve it, then they want to come in and support you.
Oh yeah. They want to be closer to that.
Yeah, but if you don't handle that, you will be held back. There's no doubt about it. That's what most people are dealing with. So
I think, and I've definitely been here, I think when we think about what that looks like, I made a choice and I'm going to have to draw a line in the sand, especially when it comes to my people and my environment, especially with family. Like the closer the relationship, the harder that reality is when we realize how much of a boundary we need to draw. I think we think that drawing a boundary, creating a healthy boundary is excommunication. By saying no or not right now, we think that it's going to be forever. And everybody's got different dynamics, especially when it comes to family. But how would you say, or what do you do? How would you advise somebody to stand firm in their healthy boundary they're drawing, and more importantly, realize this isn't forever. It just needs to be a for right now thing.
Well, it's not you deciding it, by the way. Like you decide your mission, and then they decide whether they want to be a part of it or not. You just set the rules, so they self-select out. And when they're ready to come back, they come back.
Because until they do anything, the scenario actually hasn't changed. So that's interesting. It's literally the ball's still in their court.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You set it up that way. It's the same thing with my business and employees. We have core values, we have a mission, and they have a choice whether to align with it or not. If they don't align with it, they're self-selecting out. It's not me selecting them out. I just set the course. It's like in the military. You set the mission, and then they're supposed to follow the mission. If they don't follow the mission, they have no choice but to leave.
And everything we do is by core values.
Yeah.
Like, still to this day, it's based on loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, personal courage.
Yeah. So it's not my decision is my mission and my commitment to my mission. And then their decision is whether to be a part of it or not. That's it.
I get the feeling that you would agree with me on this. Is we draw the line, we set the healthy boundary. And again, it's not a no, it's maybe just a not right now, but we're still keeping space for them later on.
You're keeping space for them right now, dude.
So, okay, now.
It's not like you're talking about excommunication or cutting off. No. They're cutting off if they decide to. You're not doing it. I want to be known globally to help people become unstoppable. And I want to have several businesses all centered around that. And I'm going to be on the road a lot. I'm going to travel a lot. Sometimes I'm going to miss some things because you got to give some things up to go where you want to go. And, if you want to support me in that, great. If you don't, I'll get it. I understand. It's your personal decision.
Yeah.
And when you're ready to support me and come aboard, let's go. That's how you do it. Is you're not cutting anybody off. Yeah. They're cutting themselves off.
Hell yeah, man. So then how do you, to kind of shift gears into like more the professional side, how do you continuously integrate these core values into what you do professionally? Because it's a little bit of a different dynamic when you're working with your business, your team, How do you handle that? Is it any different? What does that look like?
No, so you have personal like non-negotiables, like my core values. It's an acronym, vitals, right? Every letter stands for something. It's an acronym, right? And so I decide, like, the people around me, I have to like have non-negotiables with those. If anybody's not abiding by those, I just don't spend a lot of time with them. And so my company, we establish our core values. We hire and fire through our core values. We speak to our employees through our core values. So if somebody has a bad attitude, we just say, hey, listen, I'm gonna have to talk with you. And we'll have a talk with them and say, look, vibes matter and emotions are contagious, right? And they're like,
vibes do matter. Hell yeah, man.
Yeah, you got me. Because they acknowledged the core values when they came on board. They said that they were in alignment with them. And so they are the ones that agreed to abide by them. So when I talk to them, I don't have to have this weird conversation like, well, you were rude to Mary the other day and this and that. I don't have to say that. I say, vibes matter, emotions are contagious, right? They're like, yeah. Or if they blame someone, dude, T and vitals, T is take 100% responsibility. We don't do that here. You know that. Yeah, you're right. And then if they don't do that and they don't work here anymore.
Yeah.
That's it. So it's very simple. It makes things so easy.
Has anybody ever come back to you on that? I mean, because the way that you navigate this, I understand because I get it. I've been on the receiving end of that. And also it's how I try to run my business. Yeah. How do you navigate? How have you navigated a situation where, they just come back and it's like, it's friction. It's friction. Or is it clear that understanding of those values?
It can't be. There's no friction available. There's just no friction available.
You have no friction to give.
No, because look, we have one warning and then you're fired. And then we don't let that go again because then you lose credibility with all the other people. So when they come aboard, they know about the core values. We have a meeting every morning with our team. At the end of the meeting, we recite the core values. So if you talk to any of my employees, they memorize, they know the core values. They know them. So there's no question. It's like, this is the greatest thing ever, by the way. Once you figure this out and you install this into your business, rates are high. Yeah, our business and the mortgage business is like slower now. Refis are basically gone. But one thing is our culture and our community that we have and our family that we have. It's just the best it's ever been. I never wake up in the morning like, I don't feel like going to work because of the people.
Yeah.
And it is the greatest thing in the world.
That's beautiful. Congratulations.
Yeah. So if somebody to answer your question, if somebody does have a problem with it, we just part ways, nothing personal, no emotion. So you don't align with our mission here.
No hard feelings. It's just, you acknowledge these values coming in. They're not here now. Yeah. Beautiful.
Yep.
So then let's talk about what exactly you do. And I think it's perfect timing because where we are right now in the world, there's a lot of financial uncertainty. There's a lot of real estate uncertainty, mortgages, refinance, all these things. There are a lot of big life choices that everywhere all the time people are thinking about making. Is now the right time to be making these big life choices? What does it look like?
Buying a house?
Yeah.
I mean, you find a house you want, go buy it. Like that's it.
All right.
But people think too much.
There's this impending doom and gloom right now. So, and is it real or is it just because we hear it all the time and then everybody thinks it is and then we think it is too?
Nobody knows for sure, first of all, right? Second of all, if you want a house and you can afford it, just go get it because you can always refinance. If the rates are high right now, you can always refinance. There's an old saying, you marry the house, you date the rate, you marry the house.
Oh, okay. Right? All right, yeah.
But the other thing is, dude, if you're buying a house, generally you want to keep it for a period of time. And houses always come back in value. They've always, in the past, done that. So, I mean, I'm just not a speculator like that. If you're an investor and you're buying real estate for investment purposes, there's a formula that you underwrite a deal.
Right, yeah.
And if the deal makes sense when you underwrite it, you do it, no matter what the circumstances are. No matter what the economy is, no matter all that. All that's factored into underwriting a deal. Primary residence, though, if you see a house that you want as a primary residence, you go get the thing because rents are high too. Just rates are on the mortgages are up, but that doesn't mean that rents aren't up. So you're going from high rents to higher rates, and it's all level. I hope that answers your question.
What's the biggest misconception you think people have right now about large life purchases such as a house?
They're stuck with the same mortgage payment that they're going to have. They're stuck with it.
Like the deal that I'm getting now, that's it forever.
Yeah, and if the rates go down, I wouldn't be able to do anything. When our job in the mortgage industry is to monitor that because we get paid to do loans. And if it's a house that we did for you, purchase, and then it's a refinance time, we get paid to do that. Even though it saves you money and lowers your rate, we get paid to do that. So that's where they get hung up in it. And they also get hung up in it where it's like, oh man, the market's going to crash at some point. And meanwhile, people were saying that about 2 years ago, and they missed all this appreciation because they waited.
I remember that, yeah.
So
how do you navigate someone who's in an industry, is in a business that, again, this is just my outside looking in perception of, there is so much perceived volatility. How do you navigate that? How do you navigate it when, like, the real estate market, it's like, to a certain degree, like you can control what you can control with your people and how you run your business. But am I correct to say that there's a lot of external volatility that can influence what you do and how you make a living? How do you navigate that?
I think the way to navigate it, one, is in our businesses to have plenty of purchase business because that makes up for the refi loss. But for me as a business owner, I have several flows of income I set up. And I started that a couple of years ago where, like, I knew this was going to happen. I don't like to be a prisoner to the market. And so I started thinking about other businesses to open that align with what we're doing and that I didn't have to be like...
Separate from real estate.
Yeah, like tech companies.
Okay.
You know, and then, you know, I was already podcasting and I decided to, like, I mentioned before too that, like, I decided to start a podcast agency, booking people and doing the same thing I did. So, like, if you think about, like, I've had success with what I'm doing. So why wouldn't I replicate that for people and help them with it, right? If I've done it and I have the blueprint for that, I'll show other people how to do it. And so that's what I started an income flow from that. And I started income flow from tech companies that we're launching. And all the tech companies all align with what my mission is. So
walk me through that a little bit more. I mean, because service level, when I hear real estate, tech company, podcast, maybe tech and podcast are kind of connected, but those three are pretty different. How did you decide, I want to jump into this, I want to jump into that? Because it's not like a real estate like course, or it's like offshoot of here and there. How did you kind of replicate that with such diversity?
Well, the first tech company came from an idea I had where I was like, I want to bring people off the street. I don't want to pay. A lot of people are paying signing bonuses for loan officers, right?
Okay.
Big signing bonuses, and I'm like, I'm not doing that because that's not loyal people that are going to come in here and be loyal with us. They're just chasing that big chunk of money. So I was like, you know what? We need to bring people off the street that don't know anything about mortgages, and I don't want to sit with them all day. So what if there's a way where I could create a blueprint for them for their first 90 days to the point where they could just follow the steps every day that they come in, and it was already on their calendar, and they just follow along those tasks. And at the end of the 90 days, if they're worth it, they can do this job. They'll have a pipeline started. They'll have real estate relationships. They'll have money coming in, and I don't have to be there every day. And I didn't want to make it a digital course where they're sitting there watching videos and then trying to figure it out. I wanted to have exactly what they needed to do on their calendar. And we built tech around that. And it's called Blooprinted. And then it wasn't just for the mortgage business, so it's for anybody. And now coaches, consultants, trainers can come in. Instead of doing a course, they can just give steps to achieve an outcome. And that's what Blooprinted is.
That's the most diversity you could ever have, I think. I love that. I'm all about the big picture. And I think what you're talking about there is you looked at what you did, how you did it, how you had success in it, and you got to the core system of it and the problem that it solved and the types of problems that it solved.
Yep.
That's not unique just to real estate. You were able to kind of take a look at, okay, here's what I got, the system, the problem, the blueprint, quite literally. Where else do other people need this?
Yep.
A bajillion freaking other industries and service types.
Yep. So just like nonfiction books,
Yeah.
you go on Audible or Amazon, you see all these different categories. Just like course platforms like Kajabi and Udemy and all these other ones, they have these categories. I was like, well, you can have a blueprint in all these categories too. So it can actually excel people's courses. If they have a course, it can excel those, or it can replace courses.
Damn.
Because courses a lot of times have long videos that nobody wants to sit through and watch. And 3% of courses get completed.
Oh, yeah. I use Kajabi. My whole production company, Operation Podcast, when I got its start 3 years ago, started just with courses. So many people came to ask me, like, hey, how do you do the podcast stuff?
Yep.
I turned it into a course using Kajabi.
Yep.
And then, I think it was like maybe 30%. 30% people would complete about 30% of the course. But it was like maybe like all the people that would come in would actually like convert and do it and all that stuff. And so then I was like, need more problem solving, hence the production.
Yeah, exactly. So then you had a situation where it's like, do it yourself or we'll do it for you. But the problem is that people don't know what to do when they're watching a course. They don't know where to start. They see it. So if you actually see, our platform will actually allow them to schedule their blueprint. And at that moment, they can actually push a button and it pulls all the tasks into their calendar. And they know like on Monday, I just got to do these things here and then I'm done.
Oh, no shit, damn.
Tuesday, do this, I'm done. And then you go all the way through until the end. And I can be there to guide them too if they have questions. But at the end of the day, it just tells you exactly what I did.
Beautiful.
And then how can you not like, win with that?
So what's the next big picture for you now? I mean, your hat says think billions. Like, what's the next $1 billion idea?
So shout out to Howie Paynes, Howie P. We were out at Palm Springs at his mastermind. Howie's a great dude, and if you don't know him, go check him out. I got to shout him out because he's just a fantastic guy. And he started a brand called Think Billions, and we were at this event, and this hat's been stuck to my head. I just love it. I love the idea, the concept. So what's next for me, man? Like we have 2 other tech companies behind this one. And I'm also part of Project 10K, where we're building, scaling, and selling 10,000 tech companies in 10 years. And shout out
building and selling,
Jared Yellen,
scaling, selling 10,000 tech companies in 10 years.
Yeah, Jared Yellen is the visionary behind that. Another great dude. He's like a brother to me, and he's the visionary behind this. And I just, when I heard about it, I'm like, dude, you're crazy, or you're onto something, or both. And I want to be a part of it.
If it's both, I definitely want to be a part of it.
And I just got on board, and I just started. We just started like taking off, and he's done a great job. The team that they have there with everything, all my tech companies are in that project. So we have infrastructure. So if somebody has a tech idea, and they just don't know what to do with it, most ideas go to the grave, where they see it. Somebody else came up with the idea and executed on it. So we don't want that to happen to people. So if you have a SaaS idea, software as a service, subscription-based model, we're building those. And we want them to come to us, pitch us, and then we'll co-found the company with them. And we have all the infrastructure from legal to HR to development to go to market to all that.
We're going to have to talk off air because I got something for you.
Yeah, let's go.
I swear to God, it's the next $1 billion idea. Everybody says that, but
they do, but it's okay. I'm encouraging people. I don't doubt people.
And it has literally nothing to do with anything I'm doing right now, but I went through, experienced this problem. I was like, why is nobody solving this problem? I got you.
No, absolutely. We're open to that.
But what I hear most in your story, man, and especially with, Thinking Billions, reminds me actually, it's funny, I took this ketone IQ shot before from HVMN for the podcast. I had the co-founder on the show a couple months ago, Michael Brandt. Brilliant guy. And he asked this question of a couple friends of mine, shout out Conrad and April, who are entrepreneurs, business owners themselves. And I think it's one of the most powerful questions I've ever heard. When I heard it, it completely changed how I think about my business. We're playing small too often in life and in business. We don't ask big enough questions. When you ask yourself a big question, such as what he asked them, what's it going to take to get your business to $1 billion? They'd never thought about that before. Whatever limiting belief there was, whatever I'm not worth it, we can never scale that much, it's never going to get there. But by just asking that question, the biggest question possible, how can I make this $1 billion idea? Your trajectory of thought process is forever changed. That is what I'm hearing most. And that is what I love most to hear in people's stories.
100%. So what's your question?
No, I'm acknowledging you. I'm saying I
thought you had a question about it.
No,
look, dude,
it's bringing a full circle for me with what he said, and you're an example of it.
Yeah, man. Look, Howie P, man, he's he calls himself the $1 billion brand builder, right? He had 29 failed startups, but he was always the guy that was always around people. This is $1 billion idea, man. This is $1 billion idea. We're gonna make billions from this. And damn if he didn't. He skipped being a millionaire and went right to a billionaire.
Shit.
I met him through this lady named Alexa. She's a phenomenal girl. I met her, lady. I say girl, but she's a young lady. And I met her on Clubhouse, and she introduced me to him. And the way he thinks, he's just, I'm getting there. I'm gonna do it no matter what. If I fail a couple times, it's fine. I'm gonna gather the data and I'm gonna use it, and it's all gonna compound, and I'm gonna have exponential effect. He skipped being a millionaire, went right to a billionaire, and now he's doing Mighty Yum. Mighty Yum, and I'm not trying to promote all the stuff, but I gotta tell you this.
I got a lot of homework now. That's good.
So Mighty Yum is like Lunchables, but a healthy vegan style for kids.
Oh, great. Okay. Yeah.
So it's healthy for kids, which kids are being fed a bunch of poison right now.
Oh, yeah.
So he doesn't even know exactly how he's going to do it, but he's got 200-some thousand locations ready to go, but now he's got to figure out the other part of it. So the how doesn't matter.
Dude, I love that.
You know what I mean?
I love that.
So I'm just hanging out with these guys, and they're making me even more crazy than I am now, in a good way. And I don't know what's going to be the thing that picks up and goes, but at the end of the day, something is, and the money that I get, when I get 1 billion of those, that'll be 100 billion, by the way. When I get that, I don't want it for cars. Some of these guys buy cars, and God bless them. Houses, I don't really care about that. I want to have the opportunity to do my mission with no concern for money. Unstoppable people to live in the life of their dreams. And if I can do that and I don't have any concern for money because the money's taken care of, that's freedom, man. That's what I want money for. You know what I mean?
Is there a bigger question you could ask yourself of yourself that would get you to play bigger, think bigger right now? Or do you feel confident that you're there, you're playing there?
So my concern, if at any at all, is what vehicle it's going to be. So like that's why I'm searching the vehicles. Like I'm a serial entrepreneur. I don't get myself in a situation where I have a company and I don't have people that take care of it.
Right, yeah.
So like I'm not like a jack of all trades, or what do they say?
Yeah.
Jack of all trades, master of none, or expert of none, something like that.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. I'm not that guy. I make sure I have people in those places and I stay my expertise is, my flame, what I like to do, what I'm good at. I stay in that and get other people to do the other things, right? So I just don't know what the vehicle is going to be yet. Like it's going to be something.
But you got a lot of cars in the race.
Yeah, so you keep doing that. I swing a lot and then hit some home runs, and that's what I'm going to do. And I just hang out with those right people and collaborate, and I want to bring people with me. Like I don't want to be by myself when this happens. So
it's lonely at the top, but only if you make it lonely, you know?
Yeah, and by the way, like you, me, we're not billionaires right now, right?
No.
Right, but no. Like you can feel like you are.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm not saying go spend like it, but like
the mindset.
I had the mindset, and then the beingness. Like be it, just be it. Like I just, you know, what I realized is like, you know, I hung out with Grant before, Grant Cardone, Howie, other people. Like they're just human beings, man. And then like, I don't know, man. I just step into it and like feel it right now. I feel it. So it's then it becomes like a certainty to you.
Oh yeah, true. I mean, if you can lean into and truly believe and therefore act, live, work out of expansion, and every day you are expansion, everything is possible because you will find a way to make it possible.
And people around you won't believe or see the vision that you have.
Hell no.
And what you have to do is understand, I got to keep going. That's why I say thrust is a must, because eventually they start to see the results from it, and then they start to buy in, and then they start getting on the train. They're like, oh, I knew. Well, they say they knew it, but they didn't know it. But now they want to get on board with it. So I just can't stop. You shouldn't stop because there's people relying on us.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many people that'll quit. We're not quitters. Like we're persistent. My favorite word's inexorable, unyielding, unable to be stopped. And we have that obligation because we have the ability to do that.
Well, I think that's kind of how you're probably going to answer this next question. But to bring it all home, man, I want to ask you those two words, ever forward. When you hear it, when you read it, what does it mean to you? How do you live a life ever forward?
I think, you know, I did talk about that before, is that I got to keep going towards the dreams, man, towards the life of my dreams, and towards for everybody else. Like I don't make it about myself. You know, you do have to take care of yourself, and you have to carry yourself and hold yourself accountable for other people. And so just moving in the direction of your dreams and understanding that there's only two directions you can go, is towards or away. If you're staying still, you're going away. You're just so everybody knows and everybody's clear on that. There's no sitting still. Like when we talked about earlier about like just pausing for a second. No, pausing is going backwards, bro. It's like you can't stay still and not move backwards because the world just keeps going. Right?
Ain't that the truth? Yeah.
So that's what it means to me, man. Like I love it. I love ever forward. I would just add ever forward fast or something like that. Thrust.
Ever forward or
thrust somewhere. So yeah.
Well, Mike, this was great, man. Thank you so much for sitting along the wild ride and sharing your story, going down memory lane, you know, providing context to what makes you you. I mean, and everything you've shared has just been, I can see it, I can feel it, excitement, expansion.
Man, good. That's what I intended for.
And no doubt is what you bring to the table everywhere.
I intended for it. And by the way, let me just shout out you, awesome show.
Thank you. Thank you.
From the time I met you, just walking in here, dude, you're just like hospitable, genuine dude. And I just want to tell everybody else that like, if you're going on podcasts and you're doing shows and all that, like you need to make sure you're intentional about lighting that show up every time. You step in there, don't half-ass it. And Jared, my partner in tech, always talks about this. Like we want to make people dream about us, not like ego-wise, but make them feel us, make them talk about us at dinner time when they're done with us.
They can see themselves in us, which is going to allow them to grow. That's the ripple effect.
So that's the intention we always carry ourselves with, no matter where we go, is dream about us and talk about us at dinner.
Hell yeah, man. Put it right there. Well, Mike, we're going to have all the information down in the show notes and video notes for everybody, but where can they go right now to connect with you most? Where are you hanging out online?
Yeah.
got the new
Instagram.
book
I'm
out.
big on Instagram. I'd answer my DMs, but I'm on Clubhouse, Fireside. I have a show on Fireside. So, but you can find me speaking on Clubhouse like 3-4 times a week. So
Too easy. Well, thanks, brother. Appreciate
yeah,
you.
man, appreciate you. Thanks for having me, man.